last year to put this wonderful conference together. So it's great for all of us to be able to gather here at the United Nations and to be among friends and colleagues and to learn over the next few days the work that's being done globally to improve accessibility and inclusion. My name is Sachin Pavitran. I am the Executive Director of the United States Access Board, which is an independent federal agency in the U.S. federal government under the White House. It's a pleasure for me to be here today and to learn from our panel members and also to learn from all of you who are participating at the conference. Before we hear from our esteemed panel members, I want to share a little bit about the work we do at the United States Access Board and so that you have an understanding about the work that's being done in the U.S. federal government. The U.S. Access Board is an independent federal agency tasked with the authority to write designs, accessibility standards on accessibility for people with disabilities. So we are a federal agency that has been in existence for about a little over 50 years now. We often talk about the Americans with Disabilities Act. The U.S. Access Board came into existence way before the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed. In 1968, legislation called the Architectural Barriers Act was passed to ensure accessibility of all federal buildings, which is either owned or leased by the U.S. federal government, has to be accessible. So that was one of the first accessibility legislation passed in the U.S. to ensure accessibility. So when that legislation was passed in 1968, there was no accessibility standards. So the U.S. Access Board was created to write the accessibility standards on what technical criteria should be used to ensure accessibility for federal buildings and federal facilities. That's how we came into existence. But over the last 50 years, the authority for the U.S. Access Board has changed, and we've been given more authority. So we've been working on accessibility standards for the built environment, which is to ensure all buildings are accessible, including your public right-of-way. We work on accessibility standards for passenger vessels, any public transit, so that is your buses, your trains, passenger vessels, as I said, and also information communication technology, which is the Section 508 under the Rehabilitation Act. So we cover a whole range of accessibility standards, but the enforcement mechanism in the U.S. federal government is shared among different federal agencies, such as the Department of Justice, Health and Human Services. So different federal agencies have the authority to enforce the accessibility of the standards that we at the Access Board finalize. So we do the finalization and regulation for the accessibility standards. The other federal agencies do the enforcement mechanism. We have, as a federal agency, we have one authority, which is to enforce the Architectural Barriers Act, which is the act we were founded on to make sure all federal spaces are accessible. So that's, in a nutshell, the work that we do. I also want to briefly touch about regulatory work. Since we are an agency that writes regulations and finalizes regulations, one question that gets often asked to us is what happens when administrations changes. So when elections happen, we get new administrations, and currently we are serving under the Trump administration. So with every changing administration, we try to prioritize the work of the administration. So currently under the Trump administration, regulatory work has been there's been an executive order to stop introducing lots of new regulations. That does not mean the work of the Access Board comes to a stop. We, as a federal agency, are still required to continue to provide technical assistance and training on existing regulations. So the administration is supportive in the work that we do with the existing regulations that we have on file to make sure all cities and towns in the US is accessible and have the technical assistance that is needed to make sure accessibility is being implemented. So the shift of not introducing new regulations, but shifting towards making sure existing regulations is being implemented across the country is the primary focus that we have right now. We are still working on regulations, but it's not as much as it was previously. But currently our focus with the administration's approval is to focus on implementation of existing regulations. So that is very well in the works and is happening, where we work closely with cities and towns, the policymakers in those cities and towns to make sure regulations are being implemented. Because there's nothing like having regulations on the books and not implementing, because you can have all the regulations you want, but if there's no implementation, there's no point of introducing new regulations. So that's the work of the US Access Board. I just wanted to share that piece with you. And now we will turn the time over to our panel members. We have 6 panel members, and we'll be hearing from each of them separately. I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves about the work that they do and the organization that they belong to, and they have a short presentation about the product that they're representing. We will have an opportunity towards the end for a Q&A from the audience. I'll try my best to keep on time so that we hear from all the panel members. With that, I'll turn the time over to our first panel member, Adar, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Sachin. Good morning, everyone. I'm Adar Bhalinge, co-founder of Audivision. Imagine not being able to read a printed document independently, whether it's a simple textbook or a letter. For visually impaired community, this is a daily barrier to education and employment. Braille is essential, but availability of Braille books and documents remains limited, and especially in the higher education and the workforce or workplaces. And this becomes a barrier in the progression as well. We have existing technologies like smart glasses, readers, which are trying to bridge this gap. But these solutions are expensive and requires continuous internet connection, which makes these solutions inaccessible to a majority of the community because they belong to low-income background. Having high myopia since childhood, I was able to relate and understand these challenges and how these challenges can affect education and professional choices. And to address those, we have built Audivision. It's an AI-powered, patented offline reading solution for self-reliance. The solution consists of a reader device and an AI system. The hardware and the software combines to access the documents and give user a seamless reading experience. The reader device helps users align the document and maintain a proper distance between the document and the camera, and also reduces the hand fatigue, especially when it comes to bulk reading or for multiple documents. The AI system kicks in to help user precisely align the document, like, for example, by giving verbal hints. For instance, it will say that the left edge is missing or top right corner is missing. And this verbal hints tells users how to align the document precisely. And once it is aligned, the system will automatically capture the image of the document and start reading it for them. So this reduces the trial and error which happens otherwise, and leads to partial document capture and thus suboptimal results. So what our system is doing is helping user continuously giving the feedback, real time, is consistent, and is fast, a reliable system for multiple document capture. We support more than 85 languages, and the app completely works without internet. It's totally offline. You would be surprised to know that 1/3 of the globe is still do not having access to a reliable internet. And thus, offline accessibility is essential, not optional. In addition to this, the offline working feature also helps with the user data privacy and security, and which is extremely important in this age. Apart from that, our patented reader system is very lightweight, portable, and does not require any power supply, no computer, laptop connectivity. Thus, extremely portable, easy to be deployed at workplaces, education systems. And finally, most importantly, we are far more affordable compared to the existing solutions. So now let's have a look at the demo and what some of our users have to talk about this solution.
Mounted to our companion device, which has a base pad for aligning the document. User taps on the screen and the app will read it for the user.
Concept and inception.
Let's see what our users have to say.
Hey guys, it's Sam with The Blind Life. Welcome back to the channel.
Demonstration of the document reading. Touching now.
Grenade, just the way you are. Harper.
That is definitely the fastest document scanning results I've seen on any app.
My thoughts, I'm really impressed. Honestly, they're off to a great, fantastic start.
Extensive research and end-user feedback was conducted to ensure product market fit and that the reader design is accessible. User trials and training sessions were conducted across the United States as well to demonstrate the app capability, reader device usage, and gather feedback.
So now you can pause, आप pause कर सकते हो, play कर सकते हो, share कर सकते हो ये पूरा text PC के साथ भी, and more importantly, this all works without internet. Without internet. Yeah. So the excitement and the joy that we just witnessed, this is what truly independence look like, especially when you have access to the information without dependency on connectivity, infrastructure, or affordability. These are the few of the recognitions that talks about the impact that Audivision has created, and we are honored to be one of the Zero Project Awardees this year. And so far, more than 150,000 documents are being made digitally accessible, benefiting more than 6,000 users across multiple countries. Our vision goes beyond technology. We believe that the access to information is the fundamental to inclusive economic growth. And because when a person gets independent in accessing the information, that's when they really gain independence in decision-making, education, and livelihood. Join us in our journey to empower the communities, making education and workplaces accessible, and to deploy Audivision at scale. Thank you.
Thank you. That's pretty impressive. You said 84 languages?
Yes.
So as a blind user myself, I'm often looking for good OCR software because no matter how fast the digital world is growing, you always find print that you have to have access, which myself, I'm always stuck looking for a good reader. So these languages, that 80 plus languages that it's all those OCR would work for all those 80 languages? Is that how
Yes, all the 85 languages will work totally offline so that the result that we get from the printed document is instant.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we'll hear from Henry. Yep.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Henry de Vrooy. I'm the proud co-founder and CEO of MV.ai. We're a company on a mission to create inclusive and accessible technology for the blind and low vision community, because we believe in a world where AI does not serve as a replacement, but as a source of empowerment. And that's exactly why we've built our mobile platform, the MV app. Is an app that transforms every smartphone, any smartphone across platforms into a piece of assistive technology. Our platform was created with 138 blind and low vision users. We co-created the platform to meet the needs of those that will be using it. We're building for users, by the users. And what does it do? Well, it just audio describes the visual world in just 2 clicks. And what's so innovative about it? Well, it hosts 4 key features. The platform exists of a capture, a read, a scan, and a talk function. These functions open up a broad and very vast variety of AI capabilities. So you can engage with text through the reading function, understand text, simplify text, summarize text, anything that AI is able to do today in terms of text analysis, well, MV does it for you. The capture mode opens up the camera of the phone, which allows you to take pictures of whatever is happening in front of you, so you can engage and interact with the visual world. You will always have an audio description of the query that you just asked, right? The scan function is used to identify products. You can scan any label that you would like, from QR codes, barcodes, NFC tags. The information that lies behind the code will be retrieved, and then again, you can interact with your assistant, just asking questions about the product, about the information, making it more accessible to you as a user. Of course, what makes MV even more innovative, that it takes into account the context. I'm sure that you've all engaged with the large language models of today, the AI that's available today, and most of the time, it's just a plain reaction that you will get. You'll get an answer that is, let's be honest, very okay for most of us, but with special needs, you will need a special reply, right? And MV takes that into account. So the reply that you will get from the AI will be based on not only your question, but also on your disability. So far, we've been on the market for 1 year now, and we've had more than 10,000 downloads. So it's going very well for us. And well, the figures here are reflecting it. We had in January alone about 1,500 hours of support delivered through the app, which is very nice, showing that the app is really being engaged and that our users are really using it. And to state it in the words of our Jonathan, a visually impaired user, well, MV has been a real game changer for him since he's been using it. The success factors and the stories behind our company, well, 3 pillars. We thrive on collaboration, validation, and innovation. Collaboration, we try to collaborate not only with end users, but with organizations, universities, and funding agencies to make sure that we can drive our innovation, because today we're bringing the world's most reliable and most intuitive orientation assistant, the MV application, but we're also building a mobility assistant, which I will demonstrate at the end of the presentation. And we try to validate whatever that we build. So we're not only building in our lab, we're also testing it in the field, making sure that the things that we build, that they really matter. Today, MV is being funded by its founders and supported by the subscriptions and licensing revenues. However, our goal is to provide free access to our app, reaching 1 million users across the world. And we want to do so by partnering with philanthropic and impact funding organizations. So if you're in the room, please find us later. We're in the one-on-one tables. So yeah, what's next? We're still developing, because our ambition is to become the world's first orientation and mobility assistant on your phone. And therefore, we're creating the navigational part of our app. Safe routing, obstacle detection, path recognition, both indoors and outdoors, would be made possible for our users, as you can see here. You can see Mai Li, which is one of our test users, testing our current prototype. She's equipped with a body cam. Today, the body cam is pretty visible and quite stigmatizing, I know. However, we're working towards a very small and miniaturized camera. But you can see that Mai Li is using it very easily. This video has been taken on the second day that she was using it. So she's walking very confidently and very swiftly outdoors. And as you can see, she's not really using the white cane anymore. carefully. We're not trying to replace the white cane. We're absolutely trying to extend it, providing more safety and, of course, more confidence while on the move. So that was my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And as I mentioned, we're available all day for meetings, and we would love to get in touch with you, whoever you might be. And we're very interested in collaborating, so let's stay in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Henry. With your app, is there particular features that you find is more attractive to blind users that, that's not available as much in, in similar apps? Because there are apps that has done a navigation and uses similar features, but is there any unique features you want to kind of highlight that makes your app stand out?
Well, Sachin, I think it's the combination of all the features that makes it unique. However, we can see that our users are really engaging on the reading assistant, which has the OCR going on the phone, but has also the technical part reading for OCR, and then we have the comprehensive reading part with AI, which can serve many of our users. I think even people with cognitive disabilities engaging with text, making text more sensible and understandable has been something very interesting. And then, of course, the scan app, the scan part has been used very frequently, and I can say it's been mostly used during shopping to get in touch with or to interact with products.
One more question for you. You mentioned about the navigation aspect. So is that primarily focused for outdoor navigation, or is indoor something that you're looking into as well?
Well, we want to have indoors and outdoors. We started the development on the outdoors, but full disclosure, we're working on indoor as well, and the indoor is working pretty fine. The field testing shows really good results, finding door openings in areas like this, navigating between benches, between chairs, has been made possible, yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, next we'll hear from Hani.
Yes. So, hello everyone. Namaste. My name is Hani, and I'm founder of Torchit. Torchit makes most innovative and affordable AI-powered solutions. And today I will talk about one of our flagship products, which is Jyoti AI, which is not just a product, it's an ecosystem. It is all-in-one software and the hardware integration. Information is everywhere, but access is not. So there is a student who is waiting for a person who can read books for him. Or there is a mother who is dependent on identifying the medicine. Or there is a profession who cannot identify currencies independently. So dignity is reduced. So that's why we have created all-in-one product, Jyoti. Jyoti in Sanskrit is like light, which gives all-in-one solution for persons with visual impaired, from early morning to the late evening, from childhood to elder. It covers everything. And it is a main game changer for inclusive education. I'm coming to that. So it can identify currencies, colors, medicines, even real-time scene description, very ultra-high detailing. And the main part, why it is game changer for inclusive education, because it gives a structured reading. If there's a heading, it gives you heading. If there's a table, it gives you table. If there's a link, it gives you link. So our visually impaired users who are using TalkBack or screen readers, they have used many OCRs, offline, online, but all majorly OCRs ignores diagrams, charts, mathematical formulas, or even chemical equations. But Jyoti will not overlook. Jyoti will give you heading by heading, word by word, character by character. Even if there's an image, it will describe the image. If there's a diagram, it will describe the diagram. And the main part, you can save it, you can summarize it, you can also export as HTML, which is one of the most accessible file format. And we are working now to convert to EPUB file. So directly you scan documents, or if you have a scanned PDF, you upload on Jyoti software, and you can get a 100% accessible file, which is EPUB. And we are using spatial image-aware and context-aware OCR. If time permits, I will give you a demo as well. And it does not just connect on the smartphone only. It can connect with your Android device, iOS device, even MacBook, even laptops, computers, even the tablets. And whatever you're reading, it stores on your ID cloud. And wherever you log in, you can access your scanned documents or your own documents. So it is completely personalized. And today, more than 40,000 users in India and 40 countries are using this Jyoti on daily basis, and they are living life with more dignity. There are so many numbers, but 1,000+ people today, students, are giving exams without scribe, without writing, without a writer. So this is the impact which we have created. And more than 500 people are getting a higher education master's degree, and 80+ people are doing PhDs. So this is the impact which we are creating in last 2 years, and we are on the mission to impact 10 million lives by 2035. And as I told, like, Jyoti is not just a product, it's an ecosystem. And today, more than 400 government libraries are being accessible with Jyoti AI readers. And we have wall mount, we have many solutions like AI glasses, AI reader, AI ring, AI wall mount, and of course, hardware and software connectivity all together. And we are creating an inclusive framework. How? Content, device, training. We are providing Bookshare and the Sugamya Pustakalaya accessible libraries membership, which a user can get a 1.4 million accessible books. And even there is a content which is inaccessible format in PDF or even Word, even PowerPoint presentation. They can upload in Jyoti, and it can be accessible. And the device, as I told you. So this is just a 15 gram of device, which you can connect to your glasses and make it AI glasses, connect to your ring, and make it an AI ring. And you can connect to a reader, a tabletop, it become an AI reader. And the most important part is training. We are training to the individuals, training to their families, training to the teachers, and training to the government officials, so they can create the entire ecosystem. So at Torchit, we are redefining the inclusive infrastructure from last 8 years, and we have made 15 innovations, 15 patented innovations, and impacted more than 500,000 lives in 40 countries. And we are working for AI, artificial intelligence for accessibility and inclusion. And that's why all the products are 1/10 of the current available products. So these AI glasses are costing less than $200. AI readers are costing less than $300. So this is what Torchit is making, and we have a new product which is Enable Mart, which is all-in-one assisted device store, which has more than 1,000 solutions under one roof. And we have more than 250 experience centers across India and Global South, where persons with disability can go, try, test, and if they like it, they can buy it. So this kind of solution, we are providing all-in-one solution under one roof. And we have launched this resource book, which has all 1,000 solutions in this. And we are exhibiting outside booth number 4. You are most welcome to come and share your ideas, partner with us, and how we can make this world more inclusive. So at the end, inclusion is not just a product, it's an infra. And we are building that infra. And Jyoti is that ecosystem. And we are designing a global accessibility infrastructure. And technology alone cannot create inclusion. Ecosystems do. And Torchit is creating that ecosystem. And at the end, I can just say, everyone has the ability. It is our lookout whether the glass is half full or half empty. If I'm wearing a glasses, if I remove my glasses, I cannot see what is written here and what is who is sitting over there. So if they can get the right kind of assistive devices, they can thrive. And trust me, we are 40 people team, and out of 40, 60% of our staff is persons with disability. And we are not an NGO, we are not a government organization. We are for-profit social enterprise. But we hire them because they are capable, if they can get a right infrastructure. So thank you guys. I'm Hani, a founder of Torchit, and looking forward to connecting you all.
Thank you, Honey. And maybe touch a little bit about what kind of feedback have you received from your user base with how your product is functioning right now, as far as accuracy and those kind of things?
Surely. So let me give you the brief about whatever Torchit is like because of the feedbacks of the users. We started with one of the simple smart mobility device, which is currently being used by more than 300,000 users. Out of that, like they have demanded for reading, they have demanded for extra information, so we have created Jyoti. And Jyoti's feedback is super positive, and we launched Jyoti 2 years back with just 4 functions. Today, it has more than 40 functions. Whatever today Torchit, whatever we develop is around the user, because it is for the PWD and by the PWD and to the PWD. So for the persons with disability, by the to the persons with disability and for the persons with disability. So for Torchit, feedback is everything, and every morning I'm getting an feedbacks, like I'm going to trekking on the mountains, I'm giving my own independent exams. So this is the feedback, and we are day by day we are introducing more, and recently our feedback of the user is like, for EPUB I'm using another application, for PDF I'm using another application, for PowerPoint presentation I'm using another application. Why don't you combine all these things in Jyoti? So that's why today Jyoti is all-in-one app. Like if you have any inaccessible or accessible file format, even an audio, you can upload on Jyoti, and you can, it is because Jyoti is all-in-one app become because of the users. So yeah, this is the feedback which help us to improve and help us to get motivated and work more and more on the persons with disability.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Hani.
Thank you, sir.
The next we have Rebecca.
Fantastic. Hello, good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I'm very excited to share with you a little bit more about Roboca. I will ask that you take out your smartphone. I have a number of QR codes, and they're gonna happen fast. So work with me this morning. My name is Rebecca Rosenberg. I am the founder and CEO of Roboca. I actually started this company out of my dorm room in college, specifically because I have low vision as a result of albinism, which is a rare genetic condition, as many of you know, and really grew up struggling with the lack of accessibility options that were actually appropriate for me, and we'll get more into what that means in just a moment. But I also like to share that I have a background and deep interest in biomedical engineering as well. So what Roboca really does differently, the problem that we are really uniquely solving, is that about 85% of blind and low vision people actually retain some amount of usable sight. And that's really important because when we think about accessibility for this population, we're normally thinking about audio-only options, so things that read to you, or tactile-only options, things that you can feel. And while those are absolutely incredibly important and absolutely serve a population of people, we're missing the vast majority of individuals who are still looking to have a really visual experience and to have things be visually accessible to them. Because in many cases, vision is still their primary sense and mechanism for interacting with the world. And we estimate that there's more than 250 million people worldwide who kind of fall into this category. And so this is really the niche that Roboca is working in. I welcome you to scan the QR code here and actually download Roboca. We've made it available in this space, and I promise I'll explain to you how that works in a little bit. But we welcome you to download it if you are an Apple or iOS user, and if you are an Android user, please bear with me for about 4 minutes, and we'll talk. So Roboca is really an augmented reality tool that allows individuals with low vision to adjust the way the world looks to whatever they need so that they can make the most of the functional sight that they have. We can adjust things like contrast, brightness, different colors. We can, of course, use some AI capabilities so that we can create the unique and personalized and also user-specific scene for somebody with low vision so they can make the most of their sight in a way that is unique to them in that environment. And we've been very lucky that this technology has been featured across a number of different platforms like Forbes, CBS, BBC News, and more. So please do download it and try it out for the rest of the presentations. So back when we launched this technology, we started to see some really specific use cases emerge. On the left here, you will see one of our users, Diane, who has macular degeneration. She was an artist, and when she first got introduced to Roboca, she reached out to us to let us know what a major difference the technology had made in her ability to experience art again. She had, because of her macular degeneration, she had struggled to really appreciate it the way that she used to. But she said that with Roboca, she was now able to adjust contrast so that she could see texture and brush strokes, adjust brightness in dimly lit environments, and also change colors so that she could identify things that she had been struggling with. Similarly, we heard from Anne, who has albinism and who was now using Roboca to travel independently because now she could access the kiosks and the information needed to purchase tickets or find and access navigational signage. And so that really led us to see an opportunity where we could actually remove the cost burden of this technology from the individual and actually make it available in physical spaces. And so what Roboca does is we are able to use geofencing technology to unlock the full version of Roboca in our partner sites. Right now, we work with about 20 different partner sites in the United States, but the technology itself is in use in more than 115 countries globally. And so we're very excited to be expanding our partner site network beyond the United States. And if anybody has friends or contacts in the types of organizations we work with, I welcome you to come and chat with me. Primarily, we're working right now with cultural organizations, so museums, zoos, aquariums, in aviation, so we work with airports, and newly, we're now working in professional sports. So I'm going to show you just a couple of quick videos here of Roboca in action. So here you're seeing a little bit of a silly example, but this is something, it was a baseball game, and there's some cheerleaders, they happen to be adult men, who are doing a routine on the field. And with Roboca, we're actually able to see them do their dance as opposed to just hear this described to us. So we're able to zoom in, we're able to adjust contrast so that we can actually see the differences in the people and identify where they are. Next, I would be remiss if not to show you some of the AI capabilities. What we're looking at here is a departure board at the airport, and we can grab a snapshot of that and ask the AI a question about a particular flight that we're waiting for. And if we just give it a moment here, we're finishing typing in this question right now, and it will think for just a moment, and not only will it actually answer our question, but it will also give us a little bit more information about the flight. And I'm going to switch the slide before we get there, but it will actually also read that out loud to you if that's something that you want. There are a ton of impact statistics on this that I could share with you today, but I did pull out just about 3 that I think really showcase how people are using this. So in some research that we've done, we found that 98% of users at one of our museum partner organizations said that Roboca significantly improved their experience in that space. We've also found that 80% of our users report feeling more excited about engaging in new activities now that they are able to use Roboca. And lastly, we found that about 60% of users reported just general increased confidence in everyday life. In addition to that, we've been really lucky to be featured on the NASDAQ Tower in New York City in Times Square, as well as on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list for the work that we've done, which is very exciting. What's next? As promised, we are really excited to have just brought this technology to pro sports and are expanding from there. We're also doing a little bit of fundraising right now to continue to develop this technology. If that is at all interesting, please come talk to me as well. And part of the new development that we're doing is that we're very excited to be bringing this technology to Android platforms very, very soon, like in the next few weeks. And so I welcome you to scan this QR code now if you are an Android user and join our waitlist so that we can reach out to you to help us with beta testing or to just let you know when it is finally ready. We're very, very excited. This is something that has been highly requested, especially outside the United States, and we're very, very excited to be able to expand access to this yet further. And I will leave this QR code up here for just a moment. But those are the end of my thoughts for today. Please come chat with me. I'll be here all week and would love to share more about what we do. And I'm about to put up my information here as well. And you can scan this QR code if you want more information about Roboca. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope to see everybody later this week.
Thank you, Rebecca. You briefly mentioned about pro sports. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit more how this would be useful for low vision users, who wants to access sporting events of any kind?
Absolutely. So I like to say that there are really as many use cases for Roboca as there are people using it, and really more than that. So some of the ways that we see users engaging with this in a pro sports environment is really just to watch the game. Sometimes even if you are in the front row, you're still just a little too far away from the action or the ball, or maybe both teams are wearing similar colors and you can't tell them apart. And so people are using Roboca to be able to identify between players on one team versus another, actually find and follow the ball, again, using their sight in the way that is most comfortable to them, and being able to actually watch what's going on and know why people are cheering or booing, and not just doing it because everybody else around them is doing it, but actually knowing why that's happening. We also see people use this for things like accessing pricing or sizing information, or seeing the merch that they want to buy. We see people using it to access the concession menus that are usually back behind a counter and then up high. We see people using this even just to navigate to their seat so that they can read the navigational signage that's already there, and access that information so that they can really have an independent experience. Something we find unique about the low vision community specifically is that we are less likely to tell you that we have access needs, and so something that just works and is just available quickly and easily is often the most successful thing for the population of people that we work for. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Fabulous.
All right, next we'll hear from Kyle.
Oh, magic. All right, cool. Hello, good morning. I'm guessing, is that the title slide up there already?
No.
Or do I need to hit the button? I'm going to hit the button. Oh, wait, did I hit it? Oh, no.
Go back one?
Oh, no, I don't know how to do that.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, wait.
Just your first
Here you go.
We've got an interface issue already. So I don't think that that was undignified. I think it was quite dignified. I had a wonderful set of people around me who helped do a thing, and that to me is inclusion. So I'm okay being a role model for social inclusion. I think it really matters, and I think it gets things done. I am a different type of character. So I am now a senior lecturer in the School of Computer Science at the University of Bristol. I spent the last 10 years at MIT in the US teaching assistive technology engineering and mainstream computational science courses. My PhD is in computational physics. I have retinitis pigmentosa, so I was born with very typical eyesight, and then by the time I was 17, I was legally blind in the US according to their standards. I chose to just go full steam ahead and figure out systems as I faced a new challenge, built a new solution. I am going to talk today about some of the things that I hope will inspire design and long-term thinking. We have some great technologies that are on the market. One of the things that I find very fascinating is what comes 10, 20 years down the road, and what things, if we stabilize with the incredible abilities of AI, not just to describe images, but to agentically help a human push forward solutions in front of them as they take steps, or as they move forward in whatever way they choose. So I'll talk a little bit about some of my research projects, but I wanted to give a little bit of context about myself. I am a, very accomplished computer scientist. I now consider myself blind, although, as Rebecca very aptly reminds us all, many people who are blind have varying levels of light perception or ability to count fingers in front of them, or ability to see structural things out in the world given direct light sources. So it is a really highly complex space. And I am glad there's a representation of diversity on the panel in the perceptual domain. So I'm going to hit that, and we're going to play a little game of also social inclusion, which is, I'm going to hit that, and then my new friend, who I've just met, is going to read the title to the slide.
Head-tracked spatial
audio. Oh, no, you can read it to everyone.
Head-tracked spatial audio.
Yeah, cool. All right, thanks for playing the game. See, that was so much more energy than I would have put into it. I know myself. I don't find it interesting. Okay, so head-tracked spatial audio. Right, so one of the cruxes of my research is human perceptual capability. So I lost my sight. I was very visually centric. I was very ocular obsessed. I was doing visual feedback programming. I was building simulations of quantum computers that use data visualizations to enable tiny little, nano-level quantum engineering feats. I was using simulations to look at atoms bouncing around off of each other. I loved my vision. I used it to do all sorts of things. I had to be helped into a community of other ways to use senses, and I found this to be an incredible thing. As I transitioned from a low vision white cane user, which uses it like a bumper on a car, which is thing, no thing, I shouldn't go because my bumper hit a thing, to using it as a sensor that gives me incredible amounts of information through the vibration up through the fingertips, through the proprioceptive sense of where my body is in space. And I have friends who do human echolocation, so I now have a sense of the size of this room based on the echo of my voice off the back wall. And I can parallel process, if I use my ears, incredible amounts of information. I can track footsteps and voices, and there's a world around me. I just had to do a little bit of sensory reattunement and move into a sense of mindful presence and humility of relearning how to exist in a world and how to conceptualize a world. So head-tracked spatial audio is, I have headphones on, not right now, but if I had headphones on, I could reproduce, in theory, the sound of this room. And the sound of this room is not just the exact recording from a microphone. It's that full sense of things around your head that happens. So are one of your neighbors distracting you by making noises? Are there people coughing? It's actually incredibly quiet and respectful in here. But afterward, you can, there we go, laughter. Could everyone clap once and then just listen to the explosion around your mind? So that is spatial hearing, and you can simulate that in headphones, and so we're pushing towards algorithms that can achieve that. That's an incredibly hard engineering feat because you have to do real-time audio processing, and there's a big issue, which is if you stimulate a person's mind to think that a sound came from a place, is it actually the place that you want them to think it came from? So if you go into virtual reality, which we will now, I will hit that button.
Echo realistic virtual reality.
So echo realistic virtual reality is, all right, so headphones, maybe we can do a little something. If we're in VR and I want to navigate by sound, can I hear the world around me in a way that if I walk towards an opening, I go through an opening? Or is there an illusion, an audio illusion or delusion induced by inaccurate technologies? So I want my sound production to be echo-realistic, meaning my friends who are echolocators can walk past a doorway in VR, turn, walk through the doorway, and not run into the wall. And this is actually quite a wonderful opportunity to study human perception and some of the larger capabilities of the brain to learn to adapt and use systems that are often not the dominant sensory modality. So I'm trying to push technology designed by these friends of mine who understand how to use their sensory perceptual systems in ways that I'm just starting to scratch the surface of. So I'll hit the button again. I'm going to try to glance. There's this wonderful giant clock over to the right that even I can see sometimes. So I'm going to hit that and try to figure out timing.
Multi-speaker arrays.
Oh, I couldn't find the time. Oh, wait, no, I found the time. Am I out of time? Is that what that says? 2 minutes. Oh, okay. Oh, it's just not on. All right. Okay, 2 minutes. All right, multi-speaker arrays. So in reality, if I can put a bunch of speakers around a person's head, I can start to do shared acoustic realities. So if I have in the university managed to acquire 256 speakers, they're all sub 10 millisecond timing control, so I can actually do explosive mid-air sound effects that are illusions, where if you reach out and try to touch them, they're not there, they're just exploding in the middle of the room. And we can induce all sorts of funny perceptual experimentation to understand how well people can detect where sounds are coming from around their heads. If we can characterize that out in the real world, then we can push even higher fidelity into the virtual world in VR and in headphones. So that's what I'll say about that. And they're really fun, so you can come listen to some really quirky music. But all right, next one.
Spatial vibrohaptics.
Oh, yeah. So distal inference is a word that me and my AI came up with. It's a phrase. So if you have your feet on the ground or if you have your hand on a surface and there's a vibration, it will transmit vibration, and the hand will be able to detect and infer where that vibration came from. So sound does this. I've just talked about if you have 2 ears and a brain that cooperates, then you can do 3-dimensional scene analysis and you can hear things around your head. We can do similar things through the sense of vibration in the world. And so now we have a multi-channel tactile device that vibrates haptically, and we're starting to test how well people can localize objects around their sensory system that could allow for high dimensional throughput and sensing for computer interfaces for deafblind, or even just another giant modality of getting information into the mind of a user.
Interactive audio tactile graphics.
Thank you. And where are we at on time? 1 minute. Okay, cool. All right, I'll jump through these ones. So this is a more commercially available thing. Tactile graphics are really potent and powerful, being able to use not just a sense of vibration, but a sense of texture and spatial relationship is an incredible amount of information. As I said, I'm a scientist by training. We interpret data visualizations. Now I have data tactifications, I have data sonifications, I have data vibrifications. Each one of these different modalities can allow spatial relationships and correlations to be built inside of the mind that can allow for decision-making processes. We're looking at using AI to generate meaningful haptic information and tactile information, which is not the same as a re-representation of visual information into a separate domain. It's a complete new representation that the hand doesn't have the same perceptual field as the eye or the ears. So we have to design for the particular sensory input modality.
Refreshable pin arrays.
That'll just, yeah, there's big pin arrays now, and these are really low resolution versions of tactile graphics, and there's a really big unanswered question, which is what is the right way to take information and display it on a super low resolution thing. Luckily, there's a great analogy to early graphing calculators. So visually, early graphing calculators had about 40 by 60 black and white pixels, and we started teaching people how to plot sine waves and things on those chunky, clunky, beautiful graphing calculators. So we now have the equivalent in the tactile domain, which means computation can now start being made available to new sensory modalities. And one that will transition well to the next speaker.
Force feedback interfaces.
Oh, no, sorry, there's one more. That one, we'll just ignore that one. Sorry, we're just going to skip that one. All right.
Wearable AI assistant.
All right, wearable AI assistants. Oh my gosh, we hear a lot about that. So one of the big research questions, I spent a year consulting with IRA, which is they won one of the Zero Project Awards last year, and I was helping them build out some of their AI infrastructure and strategize about data collection. And one of the hardest challenges we have right now is in what circumstances do what people use AI for what activities? So looking at the definition of a disability, from the UN, World Health Organization, adopted by a lot of countries. There's an impairment, there's an activity limitation, and there's a participation restriction. And the activity limitation is one of the huge core bits. So if we can figure out what activity a person's trying to engage with, when and where, and if we can find an intervention, then we can downstream cut out the participation restrictions that are imposed by that limit. So trying to figure out the hierarchy of human needs and activities that they're using AI for and where it can add value into their lives in ways that don't make decisions for them, but empower them to make decisions and maintain agency is a big goal. So that will be the transition. I think maybe there's a nice little question, if I'm optimistic.
Thank you, Kyle. You touched on a lot of interesting emerging technologies. Is that one that excites you for end users that we need to keep our eyes open for?
So the one that will probably most, I actually didn't even have a slide for the one. This is my way of sneaking in yet another thing I'm working on. So the thing that will actually have the most direct and timely intervention in the lives of people, we're building out, so NVDA is an open source screen reader, and we are building out an add-on that can allow for agentic workflow discovery inside of NVDA. So if you are working on a computer, a Windows computer in this case, and an interface changes or you're asked to do something on that computer you've never done, it can be a really long and arduous process to discover the process to achieve that goal. You can either call a friend, which is often the best way, as demonstrated, to get things done with a little bit of fun and connection, or you may have to ask your computer, hey, I'm trying to send an email and the Outlook interface has changed. So one way to do that is to send an AI system out there and agentically have it try to discover the right way to do that by giving it only access to the information that a screen reader would have access to, so that it can build out a step-by-step process to help you achieve that goal, and then you can save that workflow if you want to. So that one I think will probably be the most, by next year, I should be able to come and demo some of that stuff functional.
Excellent. Thank you, Kyle. All right. The last person, but not Fan. We've heard about a lot of technologies, and let's hear what Meta has to offer.
Unlocking human potential. Kyle, you want to do it?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yes. You'll have to whisper to my ear.
Yeah, that's right.
Unlocking human potential.
Hi, I'm Fan. I support accessibility innovation for wearables at Meta. On the side, I'm a voiceover actor, apparently, for Kyle. Visual description of myself, I'm a short Asian male, below average looks and intelligence, but enthusiasm for accessibility unknown to humankind. We believe that AI and the future AI and wearables can unlock human potential for the 1.3 billion people in the world with a disability. I'd like to share my personal journey in this work and how we're building with everyone in mind. Why build? So this, let's see, the clicker is not advancing. Oh, there we go. This is a picture of my late grandmother, my waipua. A happy Lunar New Year to my Asian homies in the audience, and for those that celebrate. She has had severe hearing loss for my entire life, and it's kind of impacted our relationship over the years as well. I think she's become more socially isolated. It was harder for her to be able to communicate. In 2019, I started a hearing aid company to help my grandmother and people like her. And in that process, I kind of fell in love with solving the problem. On average, it takes about 7 years for someone with hearing loss in order for someone to seek treatment. This is because it's due to stigma, right? Like hearing aids kind of calls out the fact that maybe you're aging. And also, it's very expensive, $2,000 to $8,000, and they don't necessarily work that well when you need them most in loud settings. So when I first joined Meta, I actually worked on our Orion AR prototype glasses. So I'm actually wearing a shirt that has the glasses on them. And so hackathons are a timeless tradition at Meta. Products like Messenger, Facebook Marketplace all started as grassroots hackathon efforts. So for our hackathon project, we basically hacked a pair of earlier generation glasses called Ray-Ban Stories and showed how glasses can be used to describe a painting or an exhibit or read signs. We built in a way that, with my friend Sophia, who's pictured in the graphic. She's a visual impaired UXR user researcher, friend of mine. And we showed how it can be used for be able to describe things in a museum, be able to read her mail. Fast forward to fall 2023, we announced the Ray-Ban Meta Gen 1 and more recently Gen 2. I use them personally as a sighted person to be able to listen to music or podcasts, taking pictures and videos of my kids through the POV camera, be able to do messaging and phone calls hands-free. Meta AI on the glasses can also be used to ask anything on the glasses that can see, or questions like, who won the Super Bowl? My team, the Seahawks. For people who, from the blind and low vision community, we've heard the ability to be able to be hands-free while using your glasses, to be able to have AI read a menu for you or describe a room is game-changing. All you have to do is say, hey, META, I'm not gonna actually say it because it'll trigger my glasses, describe what's in front of me. If you're holding a cane or a guide dog, with one hand, you're also then holding a phone in the other. That makes it challenging for a lot of situations, and that's where being able to be hands-free is really important if you're trying to also hold another piece of a menu or a piece of mail. They're also stylish and sleek, and who doesn't love that? We also partnered with Be My Eyes and announced this partnership at our Connect conference last year. What's pictured here is my friend Conchita Hernandez. She was basically on stage, at least we show the video of her on stage with Mark Zuckerberg presenting the partnership. So for folks who aren't aware of Be My Eyes, so they're a network of about, I think, 10 million sighted volunteers with 1 million folks who are blind and low vision. You can say, hey, META, Meta, Be My Eyes, and then it'll connect you to the network of sighted volunteers in the same way that you would have on your phone, except in this case, you would be able to be hands-free. We also released a feature called Detailed Responses, which describe things in more detail for people who can benefit. And so this is the ultimate manifestation and shipping of the hackathon project that we worked on that I shared in the beginning. The other thing that was really exciting is that, lastly, there's a feature called Live AI. We've also announced this as well last year. And so this now allows you to be able to say, once you start a live AI session, you can then ask questions of AI to kind of help you without having to use the same Hey Meta prompt over time. And this feature will get better and better over time as well. In the fall, we also announced a new product line for display glasses called the Meta Ray-Ban Display and the Meta Neural Band. My favorite feature, so basically what I have right now, that's what I'm wearing. So they have one display in the right eye, and my favorite feature is being able to have captions and translation. So as the other folks were speaking earlier, I was able to use captions to kind of follow along. I myself have ADHD, and this also helps me to be able to focus in on conversations in times where I might zone out, as an example. And so the other thing is that it also works for translation as well. And there's a lot, I see the timer going down, so I'm going to quickly go through the rest of the slides. And that's the captioning experience. The Meta Neural Band is probably one of the coolest parts of the product announcement. And so this uses EMG, electromyography, to be able to detect muscle movements, to be able to actually use it as an input for display glasses. So the one thing that's fun to try is that if you use one hand, if you're able to, if you wrap your hand around your wrist, and then if you try to make a pinching gesture, you can kind of feel that you can kind of feel your muscles working, right? And so that's essentially what our band is doing, is be able to detect electrical muscle activity and then translate those into actions for people. So I'll share a quick video of the accessibility implications of what we're building. Oh, actually that video didn't play, but what I can share here is that this is a partnership that we did with Carnegie Mellon University. So in this case, we have a participant, he has quadriplegia, he's not able to use his hands. And for the first time, he's actually able to use the neural band or a research prototype to be able to play a game without even being able to move his hands at all. This isn't something that we've released yet on the product, but we're excited for the potential of what we're doing here. The last part a couple other things I will note is that we also released a SDK. So this is called a Device Access Toolkit that allows third-party developers to be able to build apps on it. This is some of the most exciting work, honestly, that's happening within our ecosystem. We don't see as us just publishing 1P features. We want to be able to enable a whole host of developers, some of which are on this panel, as well as Thomas from Orion, to be able to build apps on our glasses. And then this is only the beginning. As I mentioned before, a lot of the talk today earlier has been talked about people with visual impairments. For people with hearing, or actually for myself, again, if I'm having a hard time focusing in a loud conference room, we also have this feature called Conversation Focus that actually amplifies the person's voice in front of you. So I think we all have run into situations where it's hard to hear in a really loud cocktail party or a conference. And then on the hearing side, I mentioned things that we're doing on the caption side. There's more coming out for that as well. And then also for people with physical disabilities, being able to use your voice as a way to be able to send messages. There's someone, Colin Hughes, he's a UK disability advocate. He uses the glasses daily to be able to send messages, make phone calls, take videos and share it with his friends and family in a way that he wasn't able to do so before. And then lastly, how we build is nothing about us without us. This is our mantra. That's something that we live by and take very seriously. And I see that I am out of time, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Fan. Now, excuse me. You mentioned all the different features that the Ray-Ban glasses have been adding over the last, year or so with Be My Eyes and the Describe Me feature. Do you have a sense of what's more used as far as feature-wise by blind users and how it's being used? Have you been tracking some of that?
Yeah, honestly, I was talking to Steven Scott from Double Tap yesterday. Shout out to Double Tap. He was just mentioning, he uses, what's the time? What time is it as feature, right? So some of those features that sighted people use, we've also learned that folks from the blind and low vision community use quite a bit. Be able to take a video and be able to relive that video in a way that's immersive, because we have, spatial audio that's captured through the glasses, so you can, re-experience that with if there's laughter of kids in the background. If you're replaying that video, you can also hear that immersion. Other things that for folks who are, I would say, older adults who have a harder time learning voiceover or screen readers, as example, being able to just have someone help you set up your device, and then just be able to use voice to be able to interact and call your friends, family, be able to texting via WhatsApp or Messenger, or even just through your phone. Those are really often used use cases. And then I think, obviously, the detailed responses with live AI, being able to read a menu, be able to read mail, be able to use Be My Eyes to be able to navigate a setting like this. And honestly, I said it before, and I'll say it again, I think some of the most exciting work is yet to come based on what the community builds, right? And so because what we're seeing explosion in AI is also lowering the accessibility for people to just build apps, right? Again, I'm sorry, I'm way over time, but I also love telling a story. This is a friend of mine that works at Meta. He's blind. He's a blind user experience researcher, and he's never built an app. He doesn't know software from his training, but with some of the coding tools that we have, he's shipping actually fixes to some of the WhatsApp experiences. And so I think I'm excited to see what the community builds on our platforms, but also just in general, because I think there's a really interesting time where more and more people can be actually exposed to the tools to just build things.
Well, thank you to all panelists. I do want to ask one question before opening up to the that's right. So I do want to ask one general question to all the panelists before we open up for a couple of Q&A from the audience. So we hear constantly about AI driving technology, and many of you mentioned about how AI is a big part of the work that you're doing. Have you noticed barriers that AI has presented in the technology work that you're doing?
maybe I can go first, Sachin. Yeah, and that's a great question because AI is the buzzword. We are hearing it everywhere. We are implementing. Yeah, sorry. So as I said, AI is the buzzword these days, and what Sachin mentioned is a very appropriate question because there obviously AI is helping us, everyone, including accessibility, including sighted people, including all of us here. But we need to be careful. Those AI features need to be responsible, ethical, because there are risks of inaccuracy, of over-promising, and as entrepreneurs and developers, we need to be careful about those. We need to be testing those thoroughly. And even if and whenever we feel that such features can have some implication or some undesired effects, even if very partially, in proportion, we need to be making our users clearly aware about it, give a clear display purpose that, this is just for information or this can be incorrect, and please ensure that that it has been reviewed by some other, caretaker or human being. So yeah, this are some of the barriers that I see.
Anyone else?
Yeah, perhaps I can go, Sachin. Beside the fact that AI is becoming more and more thorough and detailed in its descriptions, I think that something that we're facing is the lack of context. So you can ask anything you would like to AI, you will get a reply. But then again, a reply without context is meaningfulness, is absolutely unmeaningful and can't be used properly by the person that is actually in a situation of disability. So that's something that we've been very, very challenged by as an entrepreneur, and that we definitely are trying to tackle.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Briefly, how Henry said, AI is super powerful, but I have summarized for 4 things. One, cost, complexity, context, and so this is connectivity. So it requires constant internet support, and it is a costly, and many times it does not give the main context. So this is hard to build, give the training on AI to to be on the context to help our users.
Okay, and so I like this question because it poses a challenge, but I think challenges promise here. So as Fan just mentioned, if you have more freedom and you have more agency in life and you suddenly have access to a bunch of technology that AI enables, you will face new challenges. Often accessibility barriers are barriers of lack of information and lack of workarounds, and AI can now unleash us into a world in which we can build tools in front of us that solve things, which means, yes, there's tons of accessibility barriers. Everything you want to do that you can't do is an accessibility barrier, but AI opens those as actual possibilities to try. A lot of us have been conditioned to give up on trying. We settle into the ways that work. And now one of the challenges that AI gives us is name those goals that you want to achieve, name them specifically, and figure out how to get AI to help you achieve those goals. So you should be faced with infinite accessibility barriers that AI is bringing to the forefront, because it means it's lowering the possibility threshold where we can now start peering over hills and taking, long advances out into unknown activities in life. So yes, I like this question. Thank you.
I have what I believe to be a little bit of a hot take on this, but that I think is important when we're in rooms like this and talking to technologists is, I think one of the biggest things we think about at Roboca when we're looking at AI is just because we can doesn't mean we should. Sometimes introducing new technological complexity has the potential to make our tools less usable for the end user. And so I think that's not to say that we should be enemies of progress, because I absolutely don't believe that that's true. But making sure that we're being thoughtful, that just because we can include something doesn't necessarily mean that it is really useful to our end user. And so making sure that that end user is involved in the conversation about whether or not this is something that they want, whether or not it is something that they would use, and how maybe would they use it. I think that is a really important part of the development process that I know that myself being an engineer by training, I'm, the first person to say, let's just build it, that sounds so cool, But making sure we're actually doing that thoughtfully, I think is one of the most important things we should be doing right now.
Okay, sorry. So we have less than 10 minutes for maybe one or two questions from the audience. If you have a question, do we have anyone to run a mic or?
Oh, they have mic on the table.
Oh, they do, okay. Is there any question? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much. It was really useful. As a person who has nothing to do with technical part of this world, it was really, just great to hear. But I'm from Ukraine, and because of the war, we have many military who lost their sight in the front lines, as well as many civilians, both children and adults, who just lost their sight because of Russian shelling. So the questions are practical. First, are you represented in Ukraine at all? If yes, how can we contact people? If no, what can we do to have some representation? Sorry. And also, how hard, easy, cheap, expensive could it be for people with disabilities just to get any? Because I understand that we need a lot these devices, these apps, and is it in Ukrainian? Because you understand that Russian language right now is a big trigger, so Russian language will not do, and many apps operate just in Russian. Thank you so much.
Who would like to answer that?
I can throw a quick one. Get in touch. So MIT has an exchange program that sends engineers abroad, and I'm friends with the person who runs the Ukrainian exchange. And they're looking for trusted partners because in opportunities of conflict, there's often people who are profiteers who stand up and say, oh yes, we'll help people, definitely, just give us money, and then run off. So let's have an extended conversation. I have resources. Much of the technology I build, because I don't have to pay my own salary, I'm offering for free as open source to the community to take, hack, modify. So yeah. I'm with you, find me afterward, and let's have a conversation.
I will also just jump in and say, yes, I do believe that Roboka has users in Ukraine. The technology, as you might have noticed, is primarily icon-based, and so there's less concern about language. I'd be happy also to connect afterwards. I have a bright yellow backpack. That's how you find me.
Perhaps I can jump in as well. Yes, absolutely, MV could be of use to you in Ukraine, and would love to connect afterwards, definitely.
I will just like to repeat what Henry said. I think, as I mentioned, we already are supporting 85 languages, and we'll be more than happy to include Ukrainian as well. So let's connect and try to see how this goes. Yeah, thank you.
All right, another question? Anyone else? Yeah, lead back.
Thank you for the great panel. It was really wonderful. But following the question of the lady from Ukraine, I have similar question regarding technology for people with disability. In countries that are sanctioned, these people, they are huge population. I'm from Iran, and unfortunately, the people with disability are ignored by their governments, and are not included in any assistive program, so our hands are really tight. I was wondering if there is any kind of consideration in developing the apps. For example, can we do it in Iran, or any inclusion in this kind of technology and products?
Perhaps I'll reply to the question. The question is not so much can we build something for Iran, but how can we offer the app, in our case, in Iran? So I think the question is similar to the question from before. I think we would love to include Iran within our reach, and would love to connect and see what's possible.
Yeah. So we work with Iran Blind Association and Ukraine School for Blind. And of course, Torchit makes affordable innovative devices, and we supply a lot of braille kits and white canes and crutches with the support of international donors like ICMR and many others. So of course, we have Iranian, like Arabic and many other languages, Ukrainian, and we can definitely take this forward. And Torchit always believe on the affordability side. So this is how we have millions of users. Yeah, definitely we would love to take this forward.
I think we have time for maybe one more question. Okay. Fan, go ahead.
I was going to say also, feel free to get in touch. It's a much more complicated process because governments have to approve things that can be dual-purposed for warfare. But I am familiar with some of those processes, and before I can release things that are developed from within the university as open source free tools, they have to go through a vetting process to ensure that they're not giving away things that can end up being used as weapons. So there is a process and there are tools, but that does end up making them harder to discover. So I'm happy to point you at some of the things that if you can find these things on the internet, then there are all sorts of tools that you can pull down. So I can help draw information towards those resources.
Well, thank you. I've been told I need to wrap up, so sorry if you had questions. Please do find our speakers. They will be around for the next couple of days. So thank you to all the panel members for your contribution, and for all of you for attending. I hope you have a great rest of the Zero conference, and thanks for attending.